Last season in year one may have been too early to call it, but as we now enter year two under Bryan Nardo, this is the time we should see the appearance and the emergence officially for the Legion of BOONE.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things cowboy and cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by Nissan. If you're the type of driver that likes to push things a little bit further, if you're the type of driver that wants to find their next big adventure around the next corner, go check out the Nissan Rogue, Pathfinder, or the Armada today at NissanUSA.com. Meanwhile, we get to jump back in some of the football conversation. This was not the regularly scheduled program for the day, but nonetheless, we threw this thing together. Why? Because it makes a whole lot of sense to at least talk about the emergence of Bryan Nardo's defense this season. Last year, we've heard from several players, right? One of the common themes was a lot of people had to get to know each other. When you have 30-plus new players and you have a new defensive coordinator and you have a lot of players who come from different parts of the world, different areas of college football, different levels of college football, there's naturally going to be a little bit of time where you have to get to know each other. And the verbal communication on the field is going to be greatly enhanced whenever you understand what each and every individual player is trying to do. Whenever you know what your buddy's going to do next to you, it does make your job significantly easier because you know your buddy's strengths and weaknesses. So you know there's some things that you're going to be able to see up the instant of the snap that if this ball goes this way, that's his cup of taters. But if they change it to this and this running back comes out of the backfield, that's more my cup of tea. So I might have to cover a little bit more ground here as opposed to here. So once the dynamics are settled down between the players in regards to I can do this, these are the responsibilities that we have in this play. When you see that all mold together, you've begun to have a pretty seamless group. We didn't really see that until fourth quarters last season. That's also one of the biggest reasons why I'm excited about Bryan Nardo in year two, because that's the main time. Right? That's the time of the game where you hope and pray that your coaches can raise up and do something somewhat spectacular. That is one of the biggest things that we can all give credit to Bryan Nardo for on the season is late adjustments in the fourth quarter were not an issue. Second quarter, third quarter, giving up 300-400 yards, that may be an issue, absolutely. And as we look forward to this coming season, we might see a little bit of that still yet, and that is the getting burnt in the back, primarily because we know Lyric Rawls is beefed up. We know Kendall Daniels is beefed up. We know Trey Rucker's working on a little bit of speed to get better in the back end. We know Kobe Hilton brings over a lot of versatility from UTEP. We also know that the Cam Epps might end up naturally, evolving into the more traditional free safety style role. But that's my way of saying this season, we might not have a traditional, quote-unquote, free safety. If our free safety is 6'4", 232 pounds, and he's a heavy headhunter, we're going to let him do that. If Lyric Rawls is beefed up and he was already a pretty yoked dude to begin with, we know we also have Justin Wright coming in. We know what Nick Martin can do. We know the defensive line under Paul Randolph. Yes, year one, but that's a lot of continuity that those guys have had together. When you have somebody like Cody Walter-Shade coming back, it's going to be massively beneficial to the distribution of information amongst the line. Again, I think talent there is not a problem. Deshaun Brown should have a massive season. Justin Kirkland should have a massive season. I think Colin Clay and Iman Oates could end up being big deals this season. I think Aiden Kelly's really right there and able to be productive. We're going to talk about one of the freshmen right now that everybody's already raving about. Defensive line should see a tick up, but that also should be a reason why, if I'm going to plant my flag in anything in regards to the defense next season, I'm pretty happy planting my flag in the ground of we will have the best run defense in the Big 12. I think we'll have one of the better run defenses in the country. I think it's very possible we get to end up with a top 15 run defense in the country. If the defensive line has a minor step up from technique-wise, what they were able to do last year, we know what the guys at linebacker can do. We know the depth we have at safety. We now know the versatility at safety has allowed us to get beefier while still maintaining a decent amount of speed. With that, there's some give and take. I don't know about you guys, but if we're absolutely destroying teams on first and second down repeatedly, and they cannot get a footing in the running game with some of the best backs in the country, all in the Big 12, if we can stop Taj Brooks and DJ Giddens pretty easily, then we're in good shape. If you can stop Devin Neal and RJ Harvey, probably in really good shape. The Big 12 is loaded down with really good running backs. I mean, Corey Kiner at Cincinnati is not an easy fellow to bring down by any stretch either. So being number one in the Big 12 in run defense would be saying something pretty drastic in this season. And that's what I expect. And I think the defense expects that as well. They will be flying around. They won't have to worry as much about verbiage, right? Because last season, they got a decent amount of that ironed out. They know who's returning. They know everybody's strengths. They know everybody's weakness. They know the areas that they can improve individually. They know the areas as a team that they're going to need to kind of shift to cover up some potential disadvantages that we have with some of the upper echelon of the conference. But all of the verbiage side of that is done. The knowledge and understanding of I know what he's going to do on this play, right? Because he naturally fills this gap really well, or he naturally strips, or he naturally gets everything going east to west. Whenever you understand what your buddy next to you does best, it allows you to have a better feel for where you can fit in to help him, but also make sure that your responsibilities are covered. If you have an insane amount of athleticism and you also have a insane amount of knowledge with the gumption of I'm going to go sock you in the mouth repeatedly, probably going to be pretty successful. That's what this season might be. It should be. We're going to see a lot of hard hitting. We're going to see a lot of tackles for loss. We should see a lot of crazy pressure in the backfield, which means we're still going to give up some deep shots. But if Trey Rucker's 40 can get down to what it was when he was a kick returner and punt returner before coming to Oklahoma State, probably in good shape. Same can be said with Kobe Hilton. When he was at UTEP, speed wasn't an issue. This is obviously a little bit of a step up. So if he can help in the back end, that's going to be beneficial. The other big thing I see out of this season that's going to make this Bryan Nardo 335 very rare is the interchangeability, right? We covered last season how I was very high on Ladarius Webb because, much like Jabbar Muhammad, he could practice and play both at safety and corner seamlessly throughout the course of the week and be able to do so in the game. We have that versatility now at the safety position. So there could be plays where our free safety, Kendall Daniels, shoots up into the box and he blitzes, and our strong safety ends up bailing out in coverage or going out into the flats, or we do some fancy switcheroo where we have a linebacker and a safety switch off. Because again, when your safety's 6'4", 230 pounds, 6'1", 210 pounds, it's not your average run-of-the-mill safety. So sticking our nose in the box this season should be one of the best we've ever witnessed as Oklahoma State fans. Sending a message in the running game from a defensive perspective should be something that we see regularly this year. That should be the identity. Stop the run, physically dominate you, and if we give up a chunk pass here or there, that's okay. Because this season we're going to have an offense that can do a little bit more, or at least when you have all of this production returning, that's what it should equal. And I think a lot of us definitely expect that this season. It's going to be a big year. It's a big year for Mike Gundy. It's a big year for the offense. It's a very big year for Bryan Nardo as well, right? He's got to prove that what he was able to do in the first and fourth quarters last season are something that he can replicate for 4 quarters, and he can do it throughout the duration of the season. Time will tell, of course, but we're off to a good start. Just like you should be off to a good start as well, whether your brackets in the trash can or not. Right now with Nissan, we're bringing March Madness greatness to you with a team that stands out on a weekly basis, just like the 2024 line of Nissan SUVs. The North Carolina Tar Heels, it's fair. They could be described as an Armada. I think the Arizona Wildcats represent the Big 12. I can't speak English right now. Representing the Big 12, definitely a 1 seed as well. Iowa State Cyclones, they could be viewed as the rugged, reliable rogue of the bunch. So what you need to do today, regardless of your bracket is take the Nissan Rogue, the Pathfinder, or the big body beast of an Armada to go on your next big adventure. Start there today by going to shop NissanUSA.com. Again, that is NissanUSA.com. Go there today to get yourself in the best position moving forward with your vehicular transportation. Another thing that you should do to help yourself, right? Because it's always better together. We all know betting can be fun in and of itself, but we also know that sometimes it can be pretty cool to strategize with somebody where you can distinguish this coverage versus this kind of defense, or this running back versus this kind of 4-4-3 coverage. Whenever you can do that with a buddy, it is going to make the experience significantly better. Encouraging your buddy to put in research is going to elevate your game as well. So again, if your bracket's busted, who cares? Introducing Better Together, the first cooperative daily fantasy platform where teamwork triumphs talent, and you can play with your friends instead of just always against them. Pick more or less on real-time player stats, strategize then with your partner on how to boost your odds and get the best chances for you to capitalize and climb up the leaderboard. Grab a buddy today and join the social daily fantasy sports movement. Better Together is the first cooperative daily fantasy application. It provides a great sense of camaraderie and enhances the social experience of watching sports in general, while maybe helping your dollar bills department. It's the best way for you to stay connected with friends while you watch sports together, or in person or separate. Doesn't matter. Download Better Together now from the App Store and sign up using the promo code LOCKEDON for a free $5 entry into any NCAA basketball contest. Play with me in a contest. Make sure you remember that code LOCKED ON, because, of course, winning alone is fun, but it's better together. It does have a pretty snazzy ring to it, doesn't it? All right, speaking of another snazzy ring to it, one of the questions that I have a thoroughly enjoyable time asking is to every player, right? Give us a freshman or a sophomore, or a redshirt freshman, or a new guy that's coming up, or a walk-on, or PW, or whatever. Give us somebody that Oklahoma State fans should get to know, sooner rather than later. Well, last year, the name that was pretty synonymous was Cam Epps, right? And then Lyric got a little banged up. Cam Epps got in the game. Turns out the players were right. Cam Epps was that guy waiting in the wings that was really close to having it figured out. We've heard Cameron Hurd from quite a few guys already this season. So Cam Hurd's definitely a guy to pay attention to. And with Arlen Bruce no longer being a Cowboy, trying his hand in the professional ranks, kudos to him. Good for him. Hope it works out. But this does open a little bit of a door. And we've seen Cam Hurd be kind of thrust into minor positions, occasionally getting a play here or there. But the talent is up the charts. The ability to make you miss, right, in a phone booth seems to be something that we've lacked for a little while. I think that'd be somewhat reminiscent of what we could see out of AJ Green as well. So, of course, from the wide receiver position, Cameron Hurd is somebody that offensively a lot of people have been talking about. And this reverts back a little bit to last season as well. So eventually we're going to see the emergence of Cam Hurd. I just don't know how much and how early it'll be this season because we do have a pretty talented plethora of wide receivers at the moment. All right, the other gentleman that most everybody has been talking about very early on is Armstrong Nnodim, which does make some sense. We knew he was a big body, beefy, powerlifting style of guy in high school. We knew that he was already putting up impressive weight before he even came to Oklahoma State. So the fact that he showed up on campus and he's already lifting mountains next to Justin Kirkland, I mean, theoretically, it shouldn't be a surprise, right? This is his MO. This is what he does. This is what he's good at. Throwing up massive amounts of weight is not new to Armstrong Nnodim. But to conceptualize what that would look like next to Justin Kirkland, that's crazy. We understand all of the reports about Justin Kirkland. We understand that there's weight associated with those crazy numbers associated with Justin Kirkland's lifting capabilities. We knew last year that Justin Kirkland was kind of on his own. Well, we're already hearing that the true freshman, early enrollee, Armstrong Nnodim, is already lifting in the same categories as Justin Kirkland. That's nuts. And this is perfect for us because we got Armstrong Nnodim because he's 6'2". That's it. If he was 6'4", 6'5", with what he benches and what he squats and the versatility he's able to show on the field as far as athleticism, right, side to side lateral movement, he would have been a high 4-star guy. But because he's 6'2", he gets overlooked by a lot of places, which is huge for us. Again, I think a decent comp would be Aiden Kelly. Aiden Kelly was somebody who came in from an area of Oklahoma that isn't big enough to be known as a big powerhouse for football. So even though he was bigger, stronger, faster, better than everybody else by a significant margin, there was going to be a little bit of a learning curve when he gets to the Division I level. We've seen that a little bit with Aiden Kelly. But now we know that he's walking around at a very comfortable 315 pounds. He's got his body fat percentage down significantly as well. So we should see a new side of Aiden Kelly this year. Armstrong Nnodim is the same style of guy that kind of already comes with the weight training development, body lean mass index that we've been kind of looking for to get out of Aiden Kelly. Is he a candidate to play immediately? Probably not, because we do have some depth at the defensive tackle position. But isn't it interesting that he's already arrived on campus and being talked about in the same breath as Justin Kirkland? I mean, there's some dudes that can throw up some heavy weight, but none of them are comparing to what these two gentlemen do. These two gentlemen are lifting NFL Combine right here, right now numbers. There's going to be NFL scouts that absolutely salivate over the continued development of Justin Kirkland. But to know that we have Aiden Kelly, who's right there ready to be on the field and take that next step, then to know that you also have Armstrong Nnodim ready and available. The defensive line is young. The defensive line is talented. The offensive line is filled with a bunch of veteran bad mamma jammas. And those veteran bad mamma jammas are the ones saying that Armstrong Nnodim is going to be a problem. He's already a problem. And he doesn't even know what he's doing yet. So that's a freshman that I don't think enough of us have talked about, that's on campus, that's been on campus for a few weeks now, and he's doing the daggone thing to a level that the offensive linemen, veterans, 6-year, 7th-year guys, they've all taken notice of Armstrong Nnodim. So it's time that we know him too. All right. We're going to keep this one somewhat short, sweet, concise. Okay. We are going to jump off into segment number 3 here. We're going to cover some housekeeping, talk about where we are, the landscape of basketball, the last ditch effort to Bill Self. surprisingly, that whole stuff wasn't a charade. It went surprisingly well. So, anywho, guys, you all know, no matter what sports season it is, you need to be able to get hooked up with your information, live games, highlights, in-depth analysis, whatever. Fire TV with Amazon has you covered. We have amazing offers and viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire Stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and television episodes. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball, wild, wacky, crazy March Madness basketball tournament, you're going to want to have Fire TV because it's fire. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at the Locked On Network and most of your big-time pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all the games, highlights, analysis, and more. Stay up to date in the latest world of sports. News, entertainment, gaming, travel, and cooking available as well. Check out Fire TV channels and Fire TV Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV, you should. Learn more today at Amazon.com/LockedOn Fire TV. Again, Amazon.com/LockedOn Fire TV. So you guys understand where we are in the basketball landscape of the hiring. We've been talking to Lutz for a long time now. I don't want to say that he was always the backup. Now, he was never the backup plan. Clearly, if we've been talking to him for weeks, he was never a backup plan, okay? But I guess I could word it better by saying Lutz was somebody that we've been in on for a considerable amount of time because he came recommended. And relationships matter. Recommendations matter. Future relationships matter. But we had to take some swings, right? Getting Darian DeVries, that's a full count. Swinging for the fences hack. You had to take it. I don't think we really went after Will Wade super seriously, but, right, I'm sure we threw him something because it's worth it. The same is applicable for Danny Sprinkle. If Washington wouldn't have thrown buku dollars of bills, maybe that would have worked out different for us. But nonetheless, Steve Lutz is a phenomenal candidate. He has been the entire time. Chad Weiberg is very smart, and getting in on him early is probably what's allowed us to still continue to be in the position we are with Steve Lutz. But we almost, ladies and gentlemen, we almost got Bill Self. Yeah, he did several interviews and meetings, which means obviously he was very interested. What I'm gathering kiboshed the deal at the end of the day was our current struggle with backing NIL budgets and obviously the Adidas partnership that he has personally. That would be a little difficult to navigate for not only Bill Self, but obviously Oklahoma State as well. So he gave us multiple meetings, which is a lot further than I think all of us thought Chad Weiberg was going to get down the Bill Self rabbit hole. But he got pretty close. He got close enough that I think Bill Self legitimately was not only considering this, but there was something pulling in his heartstrings. We almost got that heartstring to tug, but we didn't do it in the end of the day. So we end up with Lutz. We're in really good shape. If we end up missing on Lutz, though, that's where I think the problem lies. There's some people that are happy with Ben McCollum. I think Ben McCollum's a really good coach. I just personally think if we're going to go down that rabbit hole, then might as well give it to Dougie. So I think that's where we are. I think it's Steve Lutz, Ben McCollum, or I mean, you call it bust. I think we're going to get Steve. It all fits. It all fits. Oh, another thing, like I said, I appreciate you guys being patient with me. Threw together this late show here. This was not the regularly scheduled program for the day, but we got to put that one on pause. I'm going to let some things some trees shake themselves out before we dive too far into it. But when we do dive into it, if it continues being slightly difficult from orange and black country, then I'll address it, probably go live, right? We could have some fun with that. But nonetheless, we're going to continue down this road. And I greatly appreciate all of your time, the regulators, aka regulars out there. You guys keep this bus rocking and rolling, and I'm greatly appreciative. All righty, y'all. That's all we're gonna have for this one right here. Stay tuned. Got some announcements and some news. We have a lot more guests and everything to cover as well. So yeah, be ready. All righty, y'all. You know the drill. I love you as always. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't. That's fine too. My podcast and people out there, the bricks, the foundation, the bread and the butter. Hit the reviews. Click the stars. Do what you do. Alrighty, y'all. Later, taters.